You may wonder how a man can rest beside another woman yet still feel the quiet pull of your presence. But I have seen this many times. It is not the outer form he senses, but the inner image you awaken in him. A man does not truly seek bodies, he seeks the forgotten part of himself reflected in another's gaze. There are moments when his life moves one way while his inner world turns towards something different. In such moments, the woman at his side may hold his hand, but she does not hold the place in his soul where longing lives. You touch a deeper layer in him, and that hidden layer begins to stir beneath his daily life. A man may remain in the arms of another from duty, fear, or habit, yet his dreams betray what he cannot admit. In those dreams, one often sees two roads, one lit by comfort, the other by truth. The second road may lead toward the woman who awakens his buried feelings. He walks neither road fully, and thus he feels torn. No man belongs to another person, for the soul answers to no outer bond. Yet a man may bind himself to a life that does not reflect his inner reality. When such a life grows too narrow, the unconscious brings a new image toward him, a woman whose presence unlocks what he has long kept silent. She becomes a mirror of his unlived life. If you feel this strange connection, it is not because you are calling him, it is because something in him is already reaching outward. The soul moves toward what completes it. When a woman carries the symbol that touches a man's inner wound or his forgotten desire, he feels her even in silence, even in distance, even in the arms of another. This pull is not caused by beauty or charm alone, it is caused by meaning. A man feels drawn to the woman who reflects the part of himself he has lost: his tenderness, his courage, his longing for depth, his wish for a life more real than the one he built from fear. She becomes the image of his own soul calling him home. When a man feels seen by two women, he is not choosing between them, he is choosing between two versions of himself. One woman holds the life he already knows, with all its safety and all its limits. The other carries the life he does not yet dare to claim. The pull he feels is the pull of his own becoming. A man does not leave because someone persuades him. He leaves because his inner world changes shape, and the old life can no longer contain him. If he turns toward you, it is because you awaken a forgotten truth in him. And if he stays where he is, it is because his fear of change is stronger than the call of the soul. You cannot force such a choice, nor should you try. The unconscious does not answer to pressure. It moves in its own time. If he is meant to walk toward you, he will do so because something within him has ripened, because the inner figure you represent has grown stronger than the habits that bind him. You serve as a symbol, not a possession. You are the voice of the life he has not lived. When he feels you even in her arms, it is not a sign that he belongs to you, but a sign that his soul is awakening. What he does with this awakening is his own task, not yours to govern. If he is meant for you, he will not come as a thief in the night, but as a man who has faced his own truth. He will not arrive out of confusion, but out of clarity. And if he does not come, then the connection you feel was not a promise, but a message that awakens something in both of you. The true question is not how to make him choose you. The true question is whether he can become the man who chooses what is real rather than what is easy. If he rises to meet that truth, he will find you. If he does not, you must let the soul lead you elsewhere, for the soul does not abandon those who follow it faithfully. A man may feel you even in her arms, but he will walk only toward the life he is brave enough to live. If you stand in your own truth, calm, clear, and without demand, you will not need to pull him. His own soul will do the work, for it always seeks what allows it to grow whole. There are moments in a man's life when he meets a woman who does not simply stand before him, but enters him. She does not enter through touch or speech, but through the image she awakens within his soul. This image is ancient. It stirs beneath his daily life like a hidden spring that has waited a long time to be found. A man may sit beside another woman and speak to her kindly, yet something in him stirs when he thinks of you. This stirring is not desire alone, it is recognition. It is as if he sees a forgotten part of himself mirrored in your eyes. He feels drawn toward you not because of what you do, but because of what you represent to the deepest layers of his being. The soul speaks through images, and each image carries meaning. When a woman touches a man's inner image, she awakens something that lay asleep in him. His life may look whole from outside, but inside there may be an empty place he has never named. When you enter his life, that empty space begins to move, and he feels it long before he understands it. A man who senses this awakening becomes restless. He tries to continue his days as before, but the inner world does not return to silence. It whispers when he sits alone. It hums beneath his thoughts. It rises in dreams like a figure walking through mist. This figure carries your shape, yet it belongs to him. You are the outer sign of an inner truth. A man's soul does not respond to every woman. It responds to the one who reflects his lost qualities. He may sense in you a gentleness he abandoned long ago, or a courage he never allowed himself to claim, or a depth he feared to touch. When these qualities appear before him in living form, the unconscious opens its gates. The woman at his side may hold his hand, yet she may not hold the key to this inner chamber. She may share his habits and his history, but she may not touch his hidden longing. This longing is not about leaving someone, it is about finding oneself. When you awaken that longing in him, you awaken the part of him that wishes to grow beyond the life he has built. Men often believe they are drawn to outer beauty or charm, yet what truly moves them is meaning. Meaning rises like a warm wind from the depths and touches the heart before the mind can resist. When he sees you, he senses a path he has not walked. He senses a truth he has not lived. He senses a life that speaks to something unspoken inside him. This pull can confuse him. He may try to ignore it. He may try to bury it in routine. He may try to quiet it with duty. Yet the unconscious does not obey the ego. It moves according to its own laws. If you reflect something he needs, he feels drawn toward you, even when his outer life tells him to stay where he is. The soul is ancient, and it chooses its symbols with care. When you appear in a man's life, you may serve as the symbol of his own unlived self. This does not mean you are responsible for him. It means that something within him recognizes in you a door that leads inward. Through you, he sees the part of himself he left behind in his early years. Many women feel this connection and think they have done something to create it. But you have not created it. You have awakened it. There is a great difference. You did not call him. Something in him moved toward you without your command. This movement is the motion of his own soul, seeking completion through the image it sees in you. When such a bond appears, it does not always lead to outer closeness. It may remain hidden. It may live only in quiet moments or in dreams, but its power is real. A man may sit in silence beside another woman, yet feel the warmth of your presence as if it were beside him. This is because the soul does not measure distance the way the ego does. He may try to stay loyal to his current life, but loyalty to outer life does not silence inner life. The unconscious does not ask for permission to stir. It awakens because it must. When he feels this stirring, he becomes aware of a gap between who he is and who he might become. You live in that gap, not as a person to possess, but as a symbol of growth. When a man feels you in his inner world, he is not choosing between two women. He is choosing between two versions of himself. One version belongs to his old life, safe, familiar, predictable. The other version belongs to the path he has not dared to walk, uncertain, deeper, and more true. You stand at the threshold of that path as a living image. This is why he cannot let go of you easily, even if he tries. The pull he feels is not toward you alone, it is toward himself. You are the mirror in which he sees the man he could become. This reflection moves him because it calls him to grow beyond the boundaries he set long ago. The soul uses people as symbols, not possessions. You are not meant to carry his burden. You are meant to reflect his inner truth. And when he sees this truth in you, he feels a pressure inside, a pressure that comes not from desire, but from awakening. Awakening is not gentle. It shakes old forms. It demands new life. If he senses that you touch a hidden part of him, he feels both drawn and afraid. Drawn because the soul recognizes itself in you. Afraid because the ego fears what it cannot control. The struggle between these forces creates confusion that he cannot easily explain. He tries to choose with his mind, but the choice belongs to the soul. A man who feels this inner pull begins to see you everywhere, not your body but your meaning. He sees your qualities in light falling on a wall, in a line from a book, in small moments that carry your symbolic image. The unconscious does this when it wants to guide him. It repeats the symbol until the ego finally pays attention. You are not merely a woman to him, you are an inner figure rising into outer form. This figure carries his lost tenderness, his unlived courage, his forgotten longing for depth. When he senses these qualities radiating from you, he feels as though he has found something that belongs to him, yet has lived outside him for years. The soul rarely moves without purpose. If he is drawn to you while bound to another life, it means something in him has ripened. Something has grown restless. Something is no longer satisfied with the path he walks. You did not cause this restlessness. You illuminated it. This illumination can change a man more deeply than any persuasion. Words cannot draw him. Pressure cannot move him. Only the image that touches his inner truth can pull him toward transformation. And this image may wear your face, but its roots lie in his own soul. Many women ask why their presence feels so strong to a man who belongs elsewhere. The answer is simple. You are not touching his surface, you are touching his depths, and his depths do not belong to another. They belong to himself. You awaken the part of him that wishes to be whole. He may resist, he may hide, he may stay in his present life out of fear, but he cannot forget the image you have awakened. It rises in dreams like a lantern guiding him through fog. It trembles in his heart when he is alone. It whispers when he tries to silence it. If he turns toward you, it will be because he has chosen his own truth. If he does not, it is because the fear of change holds him more tightly than the call of the soul. Either path reveals something important about his inner life, but the reason he feels you so deeply, even when he is held by another, is this: you have touched the image that lives at the center of his soul. There are times when a man stands in one life while another life rises beneath him. This rising does not begin in his thoughts, it begins in the deep place where feeling sleeps. When he meets a woman who touches that deep place, he feels himself pulled in two different directions at once. This pull does not mean he is unfaithful. It means he is awakening. A man can walk beside one woman because she fits the shape of the life he has lived so far. She reflects his familiar self, his habits, his duty, his learned ways. But you may reflect another side of him, a side he has not expressed, a side he has barely allowed himself to feel. When this hidden side stirs, he feels torn, for no man can walk two paths at once. In such moments, he does not compare two bodies. He compares two inner worlds. One world is safe and known. The other is deep and unknown. The safe world holds warmth but little fire. The deep world holds fire but little safety. You are the symbol of that deep world. When he senses you, he senses the man he could become if he dared to follow his inner truth. He may see two homes, each with a different feeling. He may see himself standing between two women, one calm, one luminous. These dreams show the conflict in his soul long before he can speak of it. They show the divide that your presence has brought into light. The woman beside him may hold his daily life, but you hold his unlived life. You stir the qualities he has forgotten. You make him feel the hunger he has buried. You remind him that he once wished for something more than comfort. This reminder is not gentle. It shakes him in places he has kept quiet for years. He may not understand the source of this shaking, but he feels its weight. A man caught between two women is not choosing between them. He is choosing between two versions of himself. One version belongs to old patterns, patterns of fear, duty, or habit. The other version belongs to his becoming, his longing, his truth, his inner possibility. You are the mirror that reveals the second version. The moment he sees it, his life cannot remain the same. He may try to deny this, split. He may try to silence it with routine. He may cling to the woman in his current life, hoping the inner world will quiet itself. But the unconscious does not yield. Once awakened, it continues to whisper, "Look deeper." It sends him signs, restlessness, unease, strange thoughts at night, dreams filled with symbols he cannot ignore. He may feel guilty for thinking of you. He may feel lost as he tries to stay loyal to his present life. But the guilt is not about you. It is about the truth he has avoided. You are not the cause of the split. You are the sign of it. The split was already inside him, waiting for a moment to rise. Your presence brought it into view as the moon pulls hidden tides toward the surface. A man does not feel torn because he is weak. He feels torn because his soul moves in one direction while his outer life moves in another. When the two directions no longer match, conflict grows in the center of his being. He senses that staying where he is means losing something inside. He senses that moving toward you means risking everything outside. The soul carries its own laws. It does not allow a man to remain half alive once it has tasted what it means to feel whole. When he senses in you the part of himself he abandoned long ago, he cannot forget it. This memory becomes a quiet ache. It sits behind his chest, pulls at his breath, and follows him even when he tries to turn away. He may see you and feel both joy and sorrow. Joy, because you awaken his deeper self. Sorrow, because he fears he cannot follow where that self calls. This mixture confuses him. It makes him withdraw, then return, then withdraw again. These movements are not about you. They are the steps of a man wrestling with his own becoming. When a man feels safe with the woman he has, but alive with the woman who stirs his soul, he enters a difficult space. Safety without aliveness becomes a cage. Aliveness without safety becomes a storm. His task is to decide which part of himself he will honor. This is not an easy choice. Many fail to choose at all. They remain suspended between two worlds. You may feel this suspension. You may feel him draw toward you one moment and freeze the next. You may sense his longing in his eyes and his fear in his silence. This is the mark of a man who has begun to see his own soul, yet trembles before its demands. He is not pulling away from you. He is pulling away from himself, trying to avoid the truth rising inside. He may say he is confused, but his confusion is simply the ego trying to resist what the soul has already decided. The soul has begun to move toward what brings meaning. It sees in you the symbol of that meaning. But his outer life, built from old patterns, tries to pull him back. Thus he feels split, half living, half dreaming. This split deepens when he notices how different he feels in your presence. With you, he may feel seen in a way he has not felt in years. He may feel understood without needing to explain. He may feel warmth where he expected only silence. These feelings are not illusions. They are signs that the soul recognizes a possibility it does not wish to lose. He may tell himself that he must stay where he is, but the more he forces this, the heavier his days become. His speech grows flat. His movements lose vitality. Symbols that once brought him comfort no longer speak. The unconscious withdraws its energy from the life that no longer fits, leaving him restless and hollow. Yet when he thinks of you, or dreams of you, or remembers a simple moment with you, he feels a spark. This spark is not about romance, it is about truth. The truth that you awaken in him is the truth of who he could be. This truth frightens him because it demands change, but it also calls him because it promises life. You must understand, your presence awakened his inner conflict, but you did not create it. You revealed the crack between his outer life and his inner world. That crack existed long before you appeared. You simply brought light to it, and once light enters a crack, it becomes a path. He senses this path. It appears in his thoughts as a faint pull. It appears in his dreams as symbolic images, roads, doors, rivers, thresholds. It appears in his body as a strange warmth or longing. These signs show that his inner self wishes to move toward a different way of living. You are not the destination. You are the symbol that marks the entrance. A man becomes truly divided only when he tries to silence this call. The more he resists, the more the unconscious presses. The call grows louder, not in words but in feelings. He may feel sorrow when he is alone. He may feel distant in moments when he should feel close. He may feel as though part of him has wandered off without permission. This wandering part often carries your face, not as a claim of ownership, but as a sign of the qualities you represent: depth, honesty, passion, awakening. When he imagines you, he imagines the man he could become if he let the soul lead. This imagination becomes a guide. It shapes his choices even when he does not admit it. You will notice that his conflict is not gentle. He may avoid you for days. He may seek your presence unexpectedly. He may speak with warmth, then pull away with fear. These movements are the outer signs of an inner struggle. He is trying to protect the life he knows while also reaching toward the life he desires. The split becomes clear when he realizes that staying where he is means betraying his deeper self, yet stepping toward you means facing the unknown. Many men choose the familiar because it feels safe, but the soul does not live in safety. It lives in truth, and truth pulled toward you long before he truly saw you. If he is meant to choose the path that leads through you, it will not be because you persuaded him or because he grew dissatisfied with his present life. It will be because something in him ripened. Something in him could no longer live divided. Something in him chose growth over comfort. This inner split is the beginning of his transformation. It is painful, confusing, and heavy, but it is also necessary. No man becomes whole without facing the place in himself that is divided. And your presence is the mirror that reveals that division with clarity he cannot escape. If he walks toward you, it will be because he has chosen to live in the direction of his own soul. If he does not, it means he has chosen the safety of his old self over the promise of his deeper one. Either choice reveals his true inner state. But the reason he feels split when he thinks of you is simple. You awaken the man he has not yet become. There is a secret within every man that even he does not fully understand. This secret is the inner woman who lives inside him, the image that guides his deepest feelings. This inner figure is not a memory of any real woman. She is older than that. She is shaped from his childhood, his longings, his wounds, and his dreams. When he meets a woman who resembles this inner figure, he feels a sudden and powerful stirring that he cannot explain. This inner woman holds the qualities he has lost or not yet lived. If he has lost tenderness, she holds it. If he has lost courage, she carries it. If he has lost depth, she preserves it. She keeps safe the parts of him that could not grow in his waking life. And because she lives in his unconscious, he does not see her clearly until he sees you. When you enter his field of life, something inside him wakes up. He does not only see you with his eyes, he sees you with his soul. He sees in you the shape of the inner woman he has carried for years without knowing her name. You become the mirror that reflects her image. He feels drawn to you because he feels himself through you. This drawing is not mere attraction, it is recognition. He senses that the qualities he admires in you are qualities he lost in himself. When you speak gently, he feels his forgotten gentleness. When you show strength, he feels his buried strength. When you show depth, he feels the depth he once feared. You awaken the parts of his soul that have waited in darkness. Many women misunderstand this and think they must do something special to draw him, but the truth is simpler. You do not draw him by effort. You draw him because he projected onto you the image he already carried inside. This projection is not false in the sense of illusion. It is symbolic. He sees in you what he needs to become more whole. The inner woman often appears in dreams long before she appears in life. A man may dream of a maiden, or a stranger, or a soft light in a quiet room. These symbols show the qualities he needs. When he meets you, his dreams suddenly gain form. The soft light becomes your eyes. The stranger becomes your presence. The symbol takes shape in the outer world. This is why he may feel as though he has known you long before he met you. The soul often prepares the image before the encounter. By the time he meets you in waking life, the unconscious has already carved your silhouette in his inner world. You do not enter his life as a stranger. You enter as a revelation. But this revelation brings both joy and fear. Joy, because he feels alive in your presence. Fear, because the soul demands change when it recognizes its reflection. The ego resists change, for change means stepping into the unknown. So the man stands between the joy of awakening and the fear of transformation. This tension can be overwhelming. He may say he does not understand why he feels this pull, but the pull comes from the inner woman. She moves within him when he sees you. She whispers through his longing. She stirs through his breath. She awakens the places that have slept. He feels as though you understand him in ways he cannot explain, for he senses you are connected to something deep within him. When he speaks with you, he may feel strangely open. Words he would never say to others rise without effort. He may share memories he has kept hidden or fears he has never spoken. This openness is not caused by your skill, it is caused by the inner woman moving toward consciousness. When you listen, you give her space to rise. The woman he is with may see the surface of his life, but you see its depths. This is not because you try to see more, it is because your presence invites his inner truth to appear. He does not show this truth to everyone. He shows it to the woman who resembles the inner figure he has carried since childhood. The inner woman does not resemble a real person. She resembles a symbol, the symbol of all that he has not yet lived, all that he has lost, all that he longs for. When you show one of her qualities, even without knowing it, his unconscious leaps toward you. It is like seeing a part of himself walking in the world. This symbolic recognition is strong, stronger than habit, stronger than duty, stronger than reason. This is why he may feel drawn to you even when it makes no outer sense. He is not seeking pleasure. He is seeking the part of himself that you reflect. But this recognition can create confusion. He may think you are perfect, though you are simply human. He may place on you qualities you do not possess. He may expect you to carry the weight of his unlived dreams. This is the danger of projecting the inner woman onto a real woman. He does not see you clearly. He sees the image that lives inside him. Your task is not to carry this image. Your task is simply to stand in your truth. If you try to fulfill the inner woman he projects onto you, you lose yourself. But if you stay grounded in your own nature, his projection may begin to soften. He will begin to see both you and his own inner truth more clearly. This is the beginning of his growth. The inner woman is not here to make him fall in love blindly. She is here to guide him toward his own depths. If he follows her image in you, he follows the path toward his own soul. If he denies the image, he denies part of himself. You do not cause this struggle, you reveal it. Sometimes the projection becomes so strong that he feels almost overwhelmed by your presence. He may feel a rush of longing or a deep warmth he cannot explain. He may feel as though fate placed you before him. These feelings come not from fate, but from the inner world rushing to meet the outer. But you must understand, this inner image is powerful because it carries the qualities he needs to grow. It does not mean he is destined to be yours. It means he is destined to confront the part of himself that you reflect. Some men rise to this task, others retreat into fear. His choice is not about you. It is about the courage of his soul. If he avoids these feelings, it is because he fears the transformation they demand. To move toward you, he must move toward his own truth. And truth can dismantle everything he has built. Many men are not ready to face this dismantling. They cling to outer safety rather than inner growth. But even if he remains with the woman he already has, the image you awakened in him does not disappear. It lives in his dreams. It moves in his thoughts. It breathes beneath his ribs. The soul does not forget what has awakened it. It waits, it watches, it grows in silence. He may come to realize that the longing he feels toward you is the longing he feels toward himself. You awakened the inner woman. She awakened his truth. His truth awakens his conflict, and conflict awakens the beginning of real life. If he walks toward you, it will be because he has chosen to follow the voice of his inner woman, the voice that calls him to become more whole. If he does not, he will continue to feel the quiet ache of an unlived life. This ache will follow him until he faces the image that rose when he met you. The reason he sees you so vividly, even when he tries not to, is simple. You resemble the woman who lives in his soul. You do not replace her. You reveal her. And once revealed, she becomes the guiding star of his deepest transformation. There comes a moment in a man's life when the world he built for safety begins to feel too small for the soul he carries inside. This change does not begin with loud events. It begins in silence. It begins in a faint feeling that the life around him no longer fits his inner shape. It begins in a quiet heaviness he cannot explain, even to himself. The woman he is with may share his habits, his routines, and his history. She may walk with him through his daily tasks. She may care for him in ways that seem proper and good. But the soul does not seek only comfort. The soul seeks meaning. When comfort becomes too tight, meaning begins to call from a deeper place, and this call often grows louder when he meets you. His present life may be built on years of choices made from fear rather than truth, fear of change, fear of loss, fear of standing alone. These fears create a life that looks whole from the outside but feels hollow from within. He may not admit this hollow place even to himself, but when he senses depth in another woman, the hollow place begins to echo. This echo feels like unrest, like a small tremor beneath the ground. He may wake in the morning feeling as though his life is coated in a thin layer of dust. Nothing is wrong, yet nothing feels alive. This is the first sign that he has outgrown the life he built. The soul expands, but the structure around it remains the same. Something must shift. Many men do not notice this shift until they meet a woman who awakens their deeper self. Before meeting you, he felt the unrest but had no name for it. After meeting you, the unrest becomes a clear doorway. It shows him the difference between mere living and true living. He sees that one life gives him safety while another gives him breath. A man can remain in a life that no longer fits for a long time. He may smile, he may speak kindly, he may appear content, but beneath the surface, the unconscious withdraws its energy. His steps feel heavy, his days feel dull. His nights bring strange dreams that paint symbols of change, rivers breaking their banks, old homes cracking at the walls, narrow rooms begging for air. These dreams are not random. They are the soul pressing against the limits of his current life. They show that he has outgrown the narrow walls of his routine. They show that something inside him demands more space, more depth, more truth. You did not create this demand. You revealed it. His present partner may be a good woman. She may offer warmth and stability. But even goodness cannot hold a man who has begun to grow beyond the shape he once lived in. Goodness can soothe the ego, but it cannot feed the soul. When he senses in you a deeper life, his soul turns toward the promise of that depth, even if he fears what it means. He feels this pull not because you are better, but because you are symbolic. You carry qualities his current life does not contain. You show him a reflection of who he could become if he dared to break old patterns. These qualities awaken a longing that has nothing to do with possession and everything to do with becoming. A man outgrows his life when he has silenced his inner voice for too long, when he has lived by duty instead of truth, when he has chosen ease over meaning, when he has stayed where he is because he fears what lies beyond. The soul cannot tolerate such silence forever. It begins to send signs, small at first, then stronger. He may notice that he no longer laughs with the same fullness. He may feel restless even in peaceful moments. He may feel that the life he built looks right but feels wrong. He may sense that he has become a guest in his own existence. These signs show that the life he wears has become a coat that no longer fits his growing frame. When he speaks with you, he does not only speak with a woman, he speaks with the possibility of a new life. He hears his own hidden voice reflected in your presence. This reflection feels like freedom. It also feels like danger. For every new life demands the leaving of an old one, and leaving requires courage that he may not yet possess. He may try to silence this inner stir. He may try to convince himself that he is content. He may hold tightly to the life he knows, but the soul is patient. It continues to whisper. It continues to send dreams. It continues to show him moments of meaning that pierce the dullness of his days. You are often the carrier of these moments. If he looks at you and feels a sudden breath of life, it is because his soul recognizes in you what his current life lacks. You represent the road not taken, the self not lived, the depth not touched, the truth not spoken. He stands between two worlds, one that holds him and one that calls him. This inner conflict becomes unbearable when the old life no longer provides growth. He may feel trapped, he may feel torn, he may feel divided between duty and desire, but the deeper truth is that the soul is pushing him out of one life so he can step into another. You are simply the light revealing the doorway. In many cases, the life he must leave is not his partner but his old self, the self that feared change, the self that stayed small, the self that settled for less than truth. If he turns toward you, he turns toward the man he could become. If he cannot, he returns to the comfort of the man he has always been. He may see this clearly in quiet moments. He may feel shame or fear when he realizes how restless he has become. Yet this restlessness is the sign of his soul awakening. He can no longer pretend that the life he built satisfies him. The moment the soul awakens, the old life begins to crumble from within, but he does not crumble because of you. He crumbles because of himself. You simply awaken the part of him that refuses to live half asleep. You awaken the life inside him that had been pressed down by years of routine. You awaken the spark that no partner could fully extinguish. The woman he is with may feel the shift, even if he hides it. She may sense his distance, his quietness, his wandering gaze. She may feel the part of him that is drifting away, but she cannot hold what no longer belongs to her. The soul removes itself from places that no longer allow growth, yet this does not mean he will walk toward you. A man can awaken and still choose fear. He can see the path of depth and still return to safety. He can feel the call of truth, yet hide in the arms of comfort. Awakening does not guarantee change. It only creates the possibility. Some men awaken because of the image you reflect, but do not take the next step. They return to their old life with new eyes, but old habits. They feel the weight of what they have denied, but they choose to deny it again. Between what they feel and what they fear, other men awaken and cannot go back. They feel the inner world breaking open. They feel the pressure of living a life that no longer fits. They feel that remaining where they are would be a betrayal of their own soul. These men step toward the new path, even if it costs them the old one. If he steps toward you, it will be because he has outgrown not someone, but something, the smaller version of himself that lived without truth. You are not the reason for his leaving. You are the mirror that showed him his own growth. A man outgrows his life when the soul demands a wider space. When you awaken this expansion, you become the symbol of that larger life. Whether he walks toward you or not, the life he had can never feel the same again. Once the soul has awakened, it cannot return to sleep. The reason he feels his current life tightening around him is simple. He is becoming too large for the world he built from fear. Your presence shows him the world he could build from truth. There comes a point on this path where the question shifts. It is no longer, it becomes, how do I stay faithful to my own soul while he struggles with his? This shift marks the beginning of your true task, for you are not here to chase a man or to bend your life to fit his confusion. You are here to stand with your own truth, steady and unshaken. When a man feels torn between two lives, he may try to draw you into his conflict. He may lean toward you one day and fall back the next. He may whisper warmth, then retreat into silence. If you follow these movements, you become tangled in the storm of his inner world. But if you stand still, you become a point of clarity in his fog. The soul does not answer to pressure. It shrinks from force. It retreats from demands. A man who feels pressured does not become free. He becomes smaller, and a smaller man cannot choose you. He cannot even choose himself. This is why you must walk your own path without trying to pull him toward it. The soul moves only when it is ready. He may sense your desire, your hope, your longing. He may sense your fear of losing him. These things do not awaken him. They make him resist. For a man standing between two inner worlds feels fragile. He fears that any pressure will push him off balance. If you press, he clings harder to the world he already knows. Your task is not to chase him. Your task is to remain grounded, to show that you can stand without leaning, to show that you can walk without reaching, to show that your life continues even when he hesitates. This steadiness does not push him away. It calls to the deep place inside him that longs for truth. A woman rooted in herself becomes a mirror of inner strength. She does not try to win. She does not try to persuade. She simply is. And in her being, she awakens the man's own being. He feels within her presence the shape of a truth he must grow toward, not a comfort he can fall into. Do not become the woman who waits in pain. Become the woman who waits in clarity. A woman who waits in pain clings to hope. A woman who waits in clarity stands with her own soul. When you stand in clarity, you do not bend your life around a man's conflict. You hold your own center, and this center speaks more loudly to him than any words. Men are drawn toward women who are rooted in themselves. They sense in such women a depth that does not depend on them. They sense a life that does not collapse when left alone. This depth feels like truth. This truth calls to the part of him that longs to become whole. If he comes to you, it will be because your steadiness awakened his courage. But many women fear that if they do not chase, they will lose the man. They fear that stillness means weakness, yet the opposite is true. Stillness is strength. When you stand quietly in your own nature, you become like a stone in the river, unmoved by the shifting currents around you. A man who sees this strength senses that you are not a passing image, but a lasting symbol. Your path must remain your own. If you bend it toward him, you lose the very qualities that drew him toward you in the first place. He felt drawn to your depth, your mystery, your self-possession. If you abandon these qualities to pursue him, you abandon the image that awakened his soul, and then the symbol fades. A woman who abandons her inner life to chase a man becomes invisible to his deeper self. She becomes a shadow of longing rather than a figure of meaning. A man is not drawn toward longing, he is drawn toward life. The woman who holds her life firmly in her own hands becomes a beacon to him. The woman who lets her life revolve around him becomes dim. This is why you must continue walking your own path even as he struggles. If he is meant to join you, he will step onto your path when his soul ripens. If he is not, then your path leads you towards someone else who is aligned with your depth. Either way, your task remains the same. Remain faithful to yourself. He may test your steadiness without meaning to. He may drift close, then pull away. He may send a glance that warms you, then vanish into silence. If you respond with fear, you weaken your center. But if you respond with calmness, if you simply continue with your own life, he will feel your strength and return with clearer intent. In this way, your stillness becomes a mirror in which he sees his own confusion. Your patience becomes a guide that shows him the difference between desire and truth. Your refusal to cling becomes the lesson he cannot avoid, that a real connection grows not from pressure, but from inner readiness. If he asks for time, give it. If he withdraws, stay steady. If he approaches, meet him with openness but not need. Need is heavy and pulls him downward. Openness is light and lets him breathe. A man torn between two lives needs air, not pressure. He needs space, not entanglement. He needs a woman who does not collapse under uncertainty. A woman who stands calmly while he struggles teaches him something about himself. She shows him that truth does not demand. It waits. She shows him that real love does not chase. It stands. She shows him that the soul does not tug at others, it calls them. And only those who are ready can answer that call. If you try to pull him toward you, he will feel torn. If you stand in your truth, he will feel drawn. The difference is subtle but profound. Pulling comes from fear. Drawing comes from being. You must become the woman who draws, not the woman who pulls. To draw is to carry your own depth with grace. To draw is to remain whole even when he hesitates. To draw is to let the light of your soul speak for itself. He is not choosing between two women. He is choosing between two paths. One path is old, safe, narrow. The other is new, deep, and frightening. You are the symbol of the second path. The symbol must not chase. The symbol must stand. If he is meant for you, he will walk toward you with clarity, not confusion. He will come not as a man who is running from one life, but as a man who is stepping into his own soul. He will come when he can stand in truth, not when he trembles with doubt. Your task is not to guide his decision. Your task is to guide your own soul. If he stays where he is, it means his fear outweighed his longing. That is a truth he must face. It is not your burden. If he walks toward you, it means he chose growth over comfort. That is a truth he earned. It is not your doing. Do not wait for him to shape himself. Shape yourself. When a woman shapes her own life with strength, she becomes magnetic. Not because she tries to draw a man, but because truth always draws those who seek it. Walk your path with your head high. Walk it even if he hesitates. Walk it even if he turns away. Walk it because your soul deserves its own fullness. If he is meant to meet you on that path, he will come as a man who has faced himself, not a man who is hiding behind you, not a man who is using you to escape, but a man who has chosen you because he has chosen his own truth. And if he does not come, you will still be walking whole, clear, and alive. The reason you must walk your path alone is simple. A man can only walk toward a woman who stands firmly in her own soul. There comes a moment in every man's inner struggle when he can no longer hide from himself. He may try to bury his longing beneath duty. He may try to silence his unrest with routine. He may try to cling to the life he already knows. But the soul is patient and does not release its grip once awakened. The man finds himself at the threshold where truth demands to be seen. He senses that he cannot continue in two directions. One direction leads toward the woman who reflects his deeper self, you. The other direction leads back toward the life he built from habit, fear, and comfort. He stands between these paths like a traveler who sees two roads stretch into different worlds. He cannot walk both. He cannot stand still forever. He must choose. Yet the choice is not simple, for he is not choosing between two women. He is choosing between two inner states. One is familiar but narrow. The other is unknown but true. If he chooses the familiar, he turns away from his own growth. If he chooses the true, he steps into an inner fire that will reshape his life. And every man fears the fire that purifies. This fear makes him hesitate. He senses that stepping toward you will require honesty he has not practiced. He will need to look at his own weaknesses. He will need to admit what he has ignored. He will need to face the shadow he has kept hidden. Many men tremble at this work. They would rather remain in a dull life than confront their inner darkness. But the unconscious does not allow such avoidance forever. When a man's soul awakens, it begins to test him. It tests him through dreams, through symbols, through strange heaviness in the body. It tests his courage. It tests his truthfulness. It tests whether he is ready to step into the man he could become. One of the first tests appears in the form of restlessness. He cannot sit in silence without feeling a pressure behind his ribs. He cannot speak with the woman in his current life without sensing a hollow space inside. He cannot return to routine without feeling that something has been left undone. This unrest is the soul shaking him awake. Another test appears in the form of guilt. Not guilt toward you, but guilt toward himself. He feels guilty for living half of a life. He feels guilty for silencing his own longing. He feels guilty for pretending to be content when his inner world cries for more. This guilt is not a punishment. It is a summons, a quiet call to face the truth he has hidden. The soul tests him through dreams as well. Dreams become filled with symbols of choice, doors that open only when he walks forward, bridges that collapse behind him, paths that vanish if he tries to return. He may dream of you standing in the distance, not reaching for him, not calling him, but simply waiting. This dream represents the truth he must walk toward without expecting you to guide him. He dreams of the woman he is with too. She may appear in a dim light, or behind him, or beside a house that is old and cracked. These images are not judgments. They show the state of his inner life. They show that what once held him no longer awakens him. His soul uses symbols to reveal the truth his ego fears to see. The greatest test comes when he feels both longing and fear at the same time. Longing to move toward you, fear of losing the world he knows. A man must walk through this storm alone. No one can walk it for him. Not you, not his partner, not any outer advice. The battle is inside him, between his old self and his emerging self. If he chooses you, he must choose with clarity, not confusion. A man who comes in confusion carries trouble in his hands. A man who comes in clarity carries truth. The soul will not allow him to approach you with half a heart. It will test him until he can stand whole. He may withdraw from you as part of this test. His distance is not always rejection. Sometimes it is the soul pulling him inward to face what he fears. In this inward silence, he meets the parts of himself he has avoided. He sees his own cowardice, his own longing, his own dishonesty with himself. This seeing is painful, but it is necessary. A man cannot choose you honestly until he has faced his own shadow. The shadow holds his hidden fear of change, It holds his fear of causing pain. It holds his fear of being seen too deeply. It holds the wounds that shaped his present life. When he meets you, the shadow rises because it senses that truth is near, and truth threatens the old self. The shadow shows him his jealousy, his uncertainty, his old patterns of hiding. It shows him how often he betrayed his own desires to please others. It shows him how often he stayed small to avoid stepping into the fullness of himself. These revelations are painful, but they are signs of growth. Only a man who has faced his shadow can choose from the soul. Some men fail this test. They retreat into the safety of their familiar life. They silence their longing. They bury their dreams. They replace truth with comfort. They may stay with the woman they already have, not because she fulfills him, but because she does not challenge him to transform. These men remain prisoners of their own fear. Other men pass the test slowly. They struggle. They fall back. They rise again. They face their shadow in pieces. They walk toward inner truth through trembling steps. Each time they sense your presence, the soul pushes them further. They begin to see clearly the difference between love and comfort, between longing and fear, desire and destiny. A man who passes the test eventually feels a shift inside. His fear softens, his longing steadies, his confusion lifts. His inner world becomes calm, not because the path is easy, but because the soul has shaped him for truth. He realizes he cannot return to a life that does not reflect his deeper self. When he reaches this clarity, he finally understands something essential. You are not the cause of his conflict. You are the mirror of his truth. What he does with that truth becomes the measure of his character. If he chooses you, he must choose as a man who has faced himself, not as a man fleeing another woman. He must come toward you with a whole heart, not a divided one. He must walk toward you, not to escape his old life, but to step into his true life. This is why the soul tests him so fiercely. The soul does not allow a man to approach a woman who symbolizes his deeper self unless he is ready to walk as a deeper man. It does not allow him to cling to you with childish longing. It demands that he stand in his own truth before he reaches for yours. You may wonder why he wavers, why he grows silent, why he hesitates. But his hesitation is not always weakness. Sometimes it is transformation. A man standing between truth and fear trembles because the choice before him is not small. It will shape the rest of his life. He knows that if he chooses you, he is choosing to change. He is choosing to leave behind the self he pretended to be. He is choosing to face old pain. He is choosing to become more honest, more vulnerable, more alive. This is a difficult choice for any man who has lived in the safety of habit. Some days he may feel strong, other days he may feel small. But every day brings him closer to the moment when he must face the truth he has seen in your presence. His soul pushes him toward that moment. His fear pulls him away. The tension between these two forces becomes the fire that transforms him. In the end, the test of his soul is not whether he chooses you. The true test is whether he chooses truth over fear, whether he chooses growth over comfort, whether he chooses his deeper self over his familiar self. If he chooses truth, he will walk toward you. If he chooses fear, he will remain where he is. But the reason he feels torn, restless, and unable to ignore you is simple. Your presence has awakened the test of his soul. There comes a moment for every woman walking this path when she must see that the center of the story is not the man, it is herself. The man's conflict, his longing, his fear, his divided soul, these are movements in his own inner world. But your task is not to lose yourself inside the storms of another. Your task is to hold your own light steady, even when he wavers. When a man feels torn, he looks outward for answers. But a woman who stands in her own truth does not wander into his confusion. She becomes a calm place he cannot ignore. Her steadiness does not push him. It shows him what a clear soul looks like. It shows him that truth has a shape, and that shape does not bend to fear. You must understand that the strongest woman is not the one who chases what she wants. It is the woman who trusts that what is meant for her cannot be lost, not because fate is kind, but because the soul seeks what belongs to it. When you stand in your own light, you allow the man to face his own shadow without carrying him through it. He may sense your strength even when you say nothing. He may feel your clarity even in silence. This clarity becomes a mirror. It shows him his own confusion, his own hesitation, his own fear. A weaker woman might try to soothe these fears to win him. But you do not soothe. You stay grounded, and your groundedness teaches him more than any comfort. When a man sees a woman who stands firmly in herself, he realizes something profound. He cannot reach her unless he stands firmly in himself. This realization is the true point of transformation. He sees that he cannot come to you as a half-formed man. He cannot come hiding behind excuses. He cannot come leaning on your strength rather than finding his own. He must bring a whole self into your presence, not fragments. This is why you must continue walking in your own light. A man may follow a woman who shines, but he cannot hold her if he approaches with fear. If he is to choose you, he must rise to meet you. He must become the man who can stand at your side without trembling before the truth you carry. When you hold your center, you do something rare. You give him space to transform without telling him how. You do not push. You do not persuade. You do not perform. You simply remain true. This truth becomes the fire that warms his courage. It becomes the light that shows him the path he must walk. It becomes the steady ground that reveals the weakness of the life he clings to. It becomes the quiet invitation to become the man he has not yet dared to be. A woman rooted in her soul becomes a symbol of what he could gain if he chose truth. She also becomes the symbol of what he will lose if he chooses fear. This dual image tests him more deeply than any words. For he sees that you will not wait forever in stillness. You move forward. You grow. You do not stand at the crossroads with him. You walk your path. This walking is not done to make him chase you. It is done because the soul grows through motion. If you pause your life for him, you leave your own growth behind. A woman who halts her path to wait becomes smaller in her own eyes. And a man senses when a woman has shrunk herself for him, it does not pull him closer, it makes him withdraw. A woman who stands in her light does the opposite. She grows, she deepens, she expands. And each step she takes becomes a silent message. I follow my soul. If you wish to meet me, follow yours. When he sees this, the choice becomes clear, not easy clear, not gentle clear, not safe clear. He understands that if he wishes to walk beside you, he must step out of the life that no longer reflects his inner truth. He cannot bring the old self into the new world you represent. He cannot carry fear while reaching for the soul's calling. He must shed the false layers he has worn for years. And if he cannot shed them, he cannot reach you. This is not cruelty, this is nature. The soul does not unite with what fears its own depth. You may wonder whether you should help him become this stronger man, but help is not the path. When a woman tries to shape a man into readiness, she takes the work of his soul into her own hands. This weakens him and exhausts her. The soul does not grow through comfort. It grows through inner confrontation. Your task is to hold the space where his truth can rise, but you do not enter the fire for him. He must walk through it himself. A man knows this. He may not speak it, but he feels it. He feels that he cannot come to you without becoming more honest than he has ever been. He feels that he cannot hold you without holding his own soul first. He feels that you are not simply a desire, you are a test of his becoming. And so he watches you. He watches how you move through the world. He watches how you carry yourself. He watches how you remain calm when he retreats. He watches how you do not chase, even when he falters. He watches how you do not break, even when he hesitates. He watches how you shine, even in silence. Through this watching, he learns something essential. You do not need him. You choose him if he rises, but you do not need him. This truth awakens him more deeply than desire could. A man who is needed does not grow. A man who is chosen must rise to be worthy of the choosing. And only truth can make him worthy. If he rises, he will rise because he has faced his shadow, not because you carried him through it. He will rise because he has confronted his fear, not because you soothed it. He will rise because he has outgrown his old life, not because you rescued him from it. He will come when he can stand on his own ground. He will come when he has earned his own soul. He will come when he can walk beside you, not behind you. He does not choose you because you demanded it. He chooses you because he became the man who could. But if he does not rise, if he remains where he is, if he stays bound by fear, if he hides behind duty, then you must let him go. For a woman who walks in her own light cannot walk backward into someone else's shadow. She cannot make herself small to fit the limits of another's fear. She cannot tie her soul to a man who refuses to face his own truth. You do not lose such a man. He loses the life he might have lived beside you. Your path continues, your light strengthens, your inner world deepens, and someone who can meet you in your fullness will appear not because you seek him, but because you stand in the truth of who you are. This is the final teaching. You do not make him choose you. You become the woman. A man must rise to choose. If he chooses truth, he will find you. If he chooses fear, you must keep walking. For the woman who stands in her own light does not chase destiny, she becomes it.